drugs. I never have taken drugs. Are you going to?
No,
Never again.
Were you worried about being sent to jail?
Yes, I know.
Then why did you do it?
Do you mean it this time?
Pardon?
Do you mean it this time?
Probably not.
Oh, no.
Welcome back to part 2 of Criminal Records, the show that looks at the crimes and misdemeanours of the stars of rock and roll. In part 1, we saw John Lennon got 1 conviction. Can any of the other Beatles beat that record?
Listen, do you want to know a secret?
And you've always been known as a nice guy, but you've been in jail twice.
Twice? Yeah, that's right. You had to bring that up.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the most successful pop writer ever. 91 top 10 singles, 33 number ones. I'm assuming you know who Paul McCartney is. And if you don't, really? But what about his criminal records? Again, he is a record breaker. Paul McCartney is a very naughty Beatle. He's been arrested 6 times. At the age of just 18, on the 9th of November 1960, Paul and original Beatles drummer Pete Best were arrested for arson. Yes, arson. The Beatles were in Hamburg, popping pills and playing all night. Their contract was terminated and they had to leave Germany. Pete, Best and Paul were the last to leave. They'd been staying at the Bambi Kino cinema. Paul and Pete went to get their things. It was dark and they were idiot teenagers. They pinned 4 condoms to the wall and set them on fire. Like you do. Already angered by the band violating their contract, Bruno Koschminder, owner of the Indra Club, reported Sir Paul McCartney and Mr. Pete Best to the police, saying they'd attempted to set fire to the whole place. There wasn't a lot of damage, but they were arrested and spent the night in jail. In the morning, they were deported. They were free as a bird.
Goedenavond allemaal en van harte welkom. De aankondiging is verder ongelooflijk kort. Nog één keer.
On August the 10th, 1972, Wings were on a tour travelling on a double-decker bus. They were on stage playing in Gothenburg, Sweden. The concert was cut short. The police pulled the plug and the music stopped. A 30-year-old Paul, along with Linda and drummer Denny Sywell, were taken to the police station for questioning for 4 hours. Customs officers had found 5 ounces of hash in a parcel that was posted to Paul and Linda. Apparently, Wings got their pot by post.
Yellow Submarine, probably, just because I'm learning it on the guitar.
What's your name?
Lee.
Thank you very much, Lee. They paid fines of around £2,000 and then carried on with the tour. Only days later, in September 1972, a crime prevention officer visited Paul's Scottish farm, High Park Farm, near Mull of Kintyre, just to give him some advice. The eagle-eyed copper spotted 5 cannabis plants growing in the greenhouse. Paul was found not guilty for possession, but pleaded guilty to cultivation. He got a £100 fine, but was denied a US visa. McCartney told the court that he'd been given seeds by a fan and was unaware that they would come up illegal.
At the court, McCartney, who'd been given 2 weeks to pay the fine, said the judge is a great guy.
Yeah, well, we got a load of seeds, you know, kind of in the post, and we didn't know what they were, you know, we kind of planted them all, and 5 of them came up illegal.
Paul is a prolific offender. Nothing's going to stop him smoking the wacky backy. 2 years later, in 1975, and Paul and Linda are driving through Los Angeles. Paul ran a red light. A cop pulled over the Lincoln Continental and smelt, you guessed it, more marijuana. Linda was arrested. At court, the judge was satisfied that Linda had completed a 6-month drug diversion program and dismissed the charges. It wasn't to be the last time that Linda would take the fall. Back in 1966, the Beatles were on tour in Japan, and they sent bent copper Detective Sergeant Norman Pilcher a postcard that read, "You can't catch us now." But that gag fell flat on January the 16th, 1980, when
McCartney, accompanied by his wife Linda and 4 children, got a superstar welcome at Tokyo's International Airport on his arrival for a concert tour.
I got arrested in Tokyo.
customs officers at Tokyo Airport found, guess what?
Pot in their possession. At Narita Airport, customs officials showed the confiscated marijuana to newsmen.
Weed in Paul's luggage, and it wasn't a small amount.
And right on the top is this big bag of grass.
Half a pound, 7.7 ounces. He really was the fool on the hill. With eyes in his head, he watched the world spinning round and round and round. It beggars belief, it really does, that Paul could have been quite so daft. He had lobbied to get the visa to perform in Japan for ages. The Japanese were very reluctant to let him play there because of his drug use.
But the former Beatle has yet to give the public and his disappointed fans his own version of
That's what I always wanted to ask you. Why bring pot into Japan anyway?
Tell me about it. Listen.
I mean, you could score
do you think I ask myself that like every day now?
Well, you were taking marijuana into Japan.
And I didn't know I was. The story people have put to me that I was framed.
They allege the singer admitted bringing pot into Japan, but only to smoke privately.
The reason I got put in there was my attitude was officially kind of too casual towards it.
Yeah. And in my suitcase, yes, there was some marijuana in the suitcase. For some reason, and I still can't explain, I took some in, and rather a large amount.
It was a mistake, really. You know, I was in America, and the attitude is very different there from how it is in Japan. I didn't realize it was so strict.
We'd been told, whatever we did, don't take it into Japan. I still am hazy as to how that happened, but it did. I think I was just stupid. I don't think I was. Honest, you're blood.
I'm not sure. You never know. I might get a new song out of it.
McCartney made no effort to conceal the large plastic bag of pot. Instead, he simply placed it in his suitcase along with his clothes. Paul was arrested and sent to Tokyo Narcotics Detention Centre, where he was known as prisoner number 22.
Narcotics investigators say Paul McCartney has broken the Japanese law.
This time it was serious, very serious. Paul argued it was for personal use, but there was enough Mother Mary for him to be charged with smuggling.
Former Beatle Paul McCartney was jailed without bail in Tokyo today after being arrested on charges of marijuana possession and smuggling.
Japan was not a drug-tolerant nation.
It turned out the penalty was 7 years hard labour.
But being famous is always a defence.
And some couldn't keep back the tears. At one time, when riot police were called to control fans besieging the office where McCartney was being questioned, it was almost like Beatlemania.
The jail was surrounded by adoring fans, and the Japanese thought it best to simply kick him out of the country. McCartney spent 9 days inside, though, before being deported.
How did you get out? How did I get out? Walking. On foot. Yeah, but what did the authorities do? They dropped the charges. Why? Well, don't ask me, ask them. Don't you know? Yeah, it was because it was not considered, I don't know. They just told me today I could get out, you know. I got out because of my celebrity. Yeah. And I was told and I knew that there were guys who didn't get out.
But he didn't get away with it. Not really. This was an expensive drug bust.
McCartney and his rock group Wings were to have given 11 performances in Japan, but the tour now has been cancelled.
100,000 of them who bought tickets will get their money back. But that's scant consolation when you've waited so long.
Any idea of the consequences of the whole thing? How do you mean?
Well, financially or...
Yeah, you know, it's a bit of a drag.
Paul had to cancel 11 concerts and he had to shell out £1 million to the promoters.
And I paid the penalty. Hey, this is life, you know, this is an old sailor's life.
When he was asked about it in 2004, McCartney said, "This stuff was too good to flush down the toilet, so I thought I'd take it with me." No remorse. Paul is a stoner.
Oh, well, hello everybody in Japan. I'd like to say sorry about the mistake there and hope we can come back sometime and not disappoint you next time and have a good time.
Paul's final brush with the law was exactly 4 years later on the 16th of January 1984 when he was busted in Barbados for, well, you guessed it, marijuana possession. What a surprise.
The charge yesterday, I was just caught with a small quantity of cannabis for which I was fined $200 Barbados dollars. I don't hold any grudges. It didn't really spoil my holiday. I don't believe it's a terribly harmful thing to do.
Again, it was daft. He was caught buying pot on the beach. He was fined £70. Fittingly, at the time, he was #1 with Pipes of Peace.
Oh, no, get out of here.
The millionaire singer told reporters he thought cannabis was less harmful than nicotine and alcohol.
I would like to see it decriminalised, but I don't think in the privacy of my own room I was doing anyone any harm whatsoever. What did you think?
Linda McCartney was making light of matters when she arrived, but this was before customs searched her baggage.
Poor Linda wasn't so lucky.
Linda McCartney, the wife of pop singer Paul McCartney, was arrested at Heathrow Airport this afternoon and charged with possessing cannabis. She'll appear in court later this month.
By all accounts, Paul was not happy, as the police in Barbados had done a thorough search. They told him they searched for everything, but they missed a small amount in Linda's handbag. It was only 4.9 grams with a street value of about a £5. Uxbridge Magistrates Court fined her £75. And with a love like that, you know you should be glad. This is Wimpole Street. Used to be home to Paul McCartney.
Excuse me, my friend. You're harassing me? Okay. No, you're harassing me. And I would like... do you mind taking it and turning it off? I'd like you not to film me. And this is your second warning. You're harassing me, okay?
On the 11th of February 2008, a 65-year-old Paul yelled and then slapped photographer James Jenkins outside his home. At the time, Paul was going through a particularly acrimonious divorce from Heather Mills. No charges were ever brought. Maybe we should let that one slide.
Really, just always think of ourselves as just happy little songwriters, just little rockers, you know, just playing in a rock group. But it gets more important than that after you've been over to America and you've sort of got knighted. If you ask me, then I'm going to say, yeah, I have, you know. And if you ask me about drugs, I'm going to say, yeah, I have, because I'm not going to tell you a lie. It doesn't do me any good, doesn't do you any good. I personally believe it won't really make people leap around taking drugs, because people are like you and they're like me. You know, if they want to try it, they'll try it. If they don't want to, they won't. For good. If you've got power, you've got to use it for the good. Because like everyone else, we read the papers, we go through all the things that most people go through. So if everyone wants to say a thing at a certain time, it's handy being a songwriter. You know, you can put your finger on it, like a yellow submarine.
In part 3, we take a look at George Harrison. Was he really the spiritual and quiet one? No, he wasn't. He was actually quite aggressive, really. See you after the break. No flicking. I can't get up there.
Last question. Do you still like to smoke marijuana?
No, I quit.
Because I never have taken drugs. Are you going to?
No.
Were you worried about being
Never again.
Were you worried about being sent to jail?
Yes, I know.
Then why did you do it?
Do you mean it this time?
Pardon?
Do you mean it this time?
Probably not.
No, 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 no.